And we're live! Well, we're not live. Oh my god, I accidentally started streaming, actually. Do you want to keep this live?
Let's keep it live and we'll see if anybody watches and
accidentally
about it.
Okay, so
Why
Pathfinder 2E talking the Kineticist.
That's an after campaign.
And oops, didn't expect this. Well, let's see who comes. Haha. Tongue out.
Yeah, why not just play multiple platforms against itself?
Let's see what sticks. Just for a chat. Ooh, I'll just say just chatting.
We're not live. Oh my god,
That's a good one.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get some other folk in here.
Let's just keep it going.
Keep it going. Let's go. Hi, I'm SCV. Oh, I'll add tags later. I have tried to put LGBTQ. I put LFB, TQ. I erased my own sexuality. I guess it could mean like fag. Anyway, I'm SCV20. This is Cap and Sham. We're story guides for tabletop role-playing games. Mostly we play Pathfinder 2E, but we're gonna explore new horizons at some point in the future. And today we're going to be talking about the Kineticist, the 2E version. This is the most requested class of all the classes besides the Inquisitor to be ported over from Pathfinder 1st edition to Pathfinder 2nd edition. That's what everyone keeps asking for. They're begging for it. They're dying for it. So we're gonna look over the playtest and give our thoughts. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell button, which I didn't know really existed until now, even though I watch tons of YouTube. And if you're watching on Twitch, follow and maybe give me your Amazon subscription, your free one. But besides that, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Captain Sham. That's all.
Wow. We're doing it big.
You can't find me. I don't have any social media. I need to fix that.
Yeah, kind of.
I'm off the grid.
Honestly, if I wasn't trying to become famous, I would also not have social media because it makes me so
I know. I have and Facebook.
And Facebook. One singular Facebook.
Yeah, we need to fix that.
Good for you though. Yeah. Let's talk the Kineticist. I don't know. What are your overall thoughts about the Kineticist?
Disappointed.
Wow. What were you expecting from
it? So the only thing that I was told about it before I took a deep dive into the playtest was basically you get to be a bender from Avatar, and it's Constitution based, which you know me. I don't play magic wielding characters because the rules are so cumbersome, and for all the work you put in, you still get your ass kicked, and that's just not why I'm here.
Yeah.
So like when you were like, hey, key ability Constitution, I'm like, yes. And then you told me that you could command the elements, and I was like, go on. And then I read it, and it's lame.
Wow. Okay, shots fired. Well, I'll give you my opinion. I think it's kind of cool. It's a playtest, so I'm hoping they fix some things. Water. But I think
I'm listening.
Some of these ideas are still pretty cool. I, as a player, I'm usually a game master, as you know, or story guide, but our beautiful listeners may not know. Beautiful watchers, beautiful, gorgeous girls who drink soup. may not know. But when I play characters, I like to be a tricky character. I like to be utility. I like to try to like be puzzle solvy with my abilities. And the Kineticist, when going in on it, I was just thinking it was going to be like a 5e Warlock, which is just blast, 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 and I have a like one spell slot to do something cool. So I was excited by some of the like quirkier options, but I think they could add some more of those and buff the water one.
Yeah, I think that the water one, I don't know if you want to go through this in order how you want to do it, but
Probably.
the water element, and I won't go too far into that right now, but that's the one where I was just like flip the table.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pissed.
I looked at that one because as an Avatar fan, Katara, baddest bitch in the whole everyone. No. Everyone else, I don't remember their names, but Katara, her water bending was the coolest. That fight she had against like the Ice King or whatever, where she just like started throwing like ice phasers and how she beat like the Fire Nation lady. Oh my god. Oh, chills. And I want.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and I got more feelings about water, especially in like in Avatar. Toph was my favorite, so I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll like the Earth. Maybe water's not for me. And then I started reading through that, and maybe we'll just go through it.
Let's go through it. Let's go through it because I love the Earth. Let's start. Okay.
Let's start from the top, maybe.
Let's start from the top. Obviously, this is the playtest. Welcome to the Kineticist Playtest. This is a class for the player who wants to never worry about running out of spells, to forge a connection with the primal elements of creation, and to just constantly hurl fire or another element of their choice. The Kineticist will appear in the upcoming book, Pathfinder Rage of Elements, scheduled for summer 2023, so in a year. They have a year to fix this, which also brings new creatures and character options for all elements, including the elements of metal and wood. Very curious about metal and wood. But I'm worried because I feel like, and we'll get into this, I feel like it repeats itself a lot and that each of these elements aren't that different from each other, so I'm worried that wood and metal are going to be a lot like earth.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like so yeah, a lot of my issues with this are related to the different states of matter that are missing from the element powers, and a lot of it gets broken where I'm looking at like just the gather element part is kind of where it starts for me. So,
so the first thing.
Like the very first thing in it, I was already like and I'm not trying to be nitpicky, and I'm not trying to split hairs. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer.
No, that'd totally be a Debbie Downer because I totally was for the occultist and the psychic.
Yeah. Like, disclaimer, I'm not a douche. I'm going to come off like a douche, but I'm not that douchey. Here's my problem. I don't like that you can just do whatever you want. I don't like that in Gather Element, I can create a ball of fire underwater. That's stupid.
Well, let's get to that. Like,
rock, paper, scissors me. You know, it's like, okay, you can't gather water while you're in a raging inferno or something. Like, give me some checks and balances. I understand being able to summon wind underwater because water doesn't destroy wind. That could even be crazy and cool, but I'm like, fire underwater, that's the example that they gave, and I was like, I don't know why, I don't like it.
Well, let's talk about what a kineticist is to begin with. You're ready. You're ready to go. You're ready to fight Paizo. Pa, pa, pa. Like, you're ready.
The second book in a row. I just like flip my desk over and walk away.
No, you loved the last book.
I did like the last book.
So
contrary to everything I said about it, I did like it.
Oh, same. I feel like I was way hard on it, but I just love Pathfinder. Okay, so the Kineticist. The power of the elements flows from within you. Roaring fire, pure water, fleeting air, steadfast earth, and then later like metal and wood. An inner gate, inextricably tied to your body, channels power directly from these elemental planes, causing elements to leap to your hand, whirl around your body. Oh, here, I keep forgetting that I shouldn't be zooming in. Whirl around your body and blast foes at your whim. As your connection to the planes grows, you attain true mastery over your chosen elements. Okay, so that sounds badass. I love the concept. I like how it's still kind of different from a druid. Some of the past classes that we've gotten, I'm like, well, how come that couldn't be in the alchemist? Or, well, how come that couldn't be a rogue class or a ranger? I feel like the kineticist separates itself enough thematically and mechanically to not just be a druid or an elemental sorcerer. Agree? Disagree?
Agreed.
So we're off on a good start here.
Yeah, common ground.
And they go over the social encounters, exploring, downtime. You might, others probably. You guys can read that yourselves. But now I want to break down the key terms, and these are probably the most important for any class whenever you're choosing a class to play in Pathfinder, D&D, any tabletop role-playing games. These are the foundations of which your class are built on. And I know you know this, but I'm telling our viewers. So do you want to read the first key term and we could break it down? Do you have the PDF up?
Yeah, I have the PDF up.
Okay.
So the first one is impulse.
Mm-hmm.
The primary magical actions kineticists use are called impulses. To use an impulse action, you must have an element gathered, which is typically done by using the gather element kineticist action. The element must be appropriate to the element trait of the impulse you use. For example, you must have water gathered before you can use a water impulse. Basically, instead of having a bunch of spell slots with all these different things that you can do, you gather that element first, and then those impulses are your spell. Mm-hmm. So if I want to trap somebody in a big water orb and drown them, I have to have water gathered first.
Mm-hmm. It takes like an action to gather, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the gather, it's called the gather element. It's an action.
Okay. So
and it has to be from your internal gate, but if you want to summon something else, you can do it from your environment, but that's another thing.
I don't think I remember like the difference between summoning it from your environment and your gate. We'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Completely skipped over that. But how do you feel? Because this is definitely an action. You're definitely trading in your third action for gathering an element and getting your impulse. And I think shooting your element is just one action, so that's kind of nice. But if you want to use an overflow ability, I guess I'm jumping ahead though. But you'll be burning a lot of actions pretty much. Do you have to gather your impulse every time you shoot it?
I don't know. I don't think it's clear on that.
Okay, because that's what I'm really curious about. Because if you're doing, for each attack you have to do 2 actions. That would suck. I don't think that's the case. But I'm trying to figure out the balance between like this elemental damage. I guess it's a cantrip. I guess I'm being a little dramatic over this. But how do you feel about impulses and gathering?
I think it makes sense. It brings some logic into it. Like I can't just, I guess, always have access to that power. It's just like in Avatar, which we're going to bring up probably 9 million times. Yes. But it's like Katara has a bottle full of water because she has to have the element to bend the element. So I think that makes sense. I think defining impulses makes sense because it's not a spell, so you can't just call them all cantrips. So yeah, I guess the glossary makes sense.
Yeah, the gloss. Oh, damn. Okay. I'll read the next one, Kinetic Aura. And this one kind of got me excited, but then I found mileage may vary on some of these classes. I think I'll read it. Impulses that create an elemental aura around you have this trait. It's Kinetic Aura. They have the aura trait and follow some additional rules. First, any kinetic aura is a 10-foot emanation unless you have an ability that changes its size. Second, if you already are in a kinetic aura, it takes one action fewer to use a different kinetic aura impulse with the same elemental trait. This can't reduce the impulse below one action. A kinetic aura lasts until you get knocked out, until the encounter ends, or until you use a new kinetic aura, whichever comes first. You can use a kinetic aura only in encounter mode, and after you create a kinetic aura, you cannot use another kinetic aura for 1 round. I like the idea of a kinetic aura. Just I like how the Kineticist at first blush seems like a blaster character, but it has a lot of area control abilities, which the tricky bitch inside of me really enjoys, and I'll probably like utilize the shit out of those. But I don't think these auras are a lot to write home about.
I'm like reading it again because I don't even understand it.
You just glow. You just have a 10-foot emanation, and
Oh,
then
it's nanite surge.
yeah, but then like depending on which aura you have, it has other effects. Like I know the Earth aura, I think is like a thaw cloud, a dust cloud that like hides
Oh,
you,
okay.
or it makes like difficult terrain and stuff like that. Or if it's fire, you do 2 damage per turn in the aura. So I like the idea. I'm curious about it. And what's really interesting about a lot of the auras listed is that the beneficial effects affect you and allies, and the negative effects affect, I mean, beneficial affects allies and enemies, negative affects allies and enemies. So there's friendly fire and fire friendly like happening. Literally too, because it's a kineticist. But I'm curious about that and how many people are gonna hate the kineticists in their group for constantly like waylaying each other.
Yeah, like I like that. I
Mhm.
like the aura thing. I think it makes sense. I think for controlling the encounter, that's really cool.
Mhm.
So I'm always conscious of friendly fire with my sorcerer character because I
Mhm.
do have a couple spells on it that just said any creature within this cone, deal with it.
Mhm.
And everybody steps in front of me and my coolest spells can hurt them, so I just don't. So like I actually kind of like that element of it because I like someone getting in my way and going no because I like that it's more immersive if the world follows some kind of logic.
Mhm.
If I can just do whatever I want all the time, then it's like
And then it gives like more strategic, like, oh, I have so many options now. Like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna hurt my friends to hurt my enemies more? Or, huh? So I like that. I think it makes it really interesting, and it makes the kineticists. I view them as like trying to tamp down on this power they really can't control, kind of like a sorcerer. And sometimes like people get hurt as much as they get like helped. Like raw, it really goes with the theme of just raw power. And like the first edition version of this, they utilized like, oh, you're gonna spend health points to use these spells. And I think they're able to kind of clamp down on that. You're gonna hurt people as much as you help them, or you're gonna hurt yourself as much as you help yourself, kind of like vibe. And I think they did that like well with kinetic auras and other things.
yeah, I just from reading like the class description and like the you might section, like this is an angsty class. It's like your character can't be well adjusted and be a kineticist. Like it's speaking to my teenage angst, and I get it.
Oh, get out of my aura! That's what Lady Gaga was singing about. Oh my gosh. Can you get into the overflow abilities?
Yes, overflow. Powerful elemental impulses have the overflow trait, indicating any element you gathered is consumed in the impulse. When you use an impulse that has an overflow trait, any element you have gathered disappears after your action. Channeling your element to this limit means that you can use only one overflow impulse per round, given you gather the Okay, so that's kind of like what we were talking before with the impulse. In addition, the kineticist also refers to the brutal trait, which is reproduced here for ease of reference. Okay,
Mm.
that's the next one. Brutal is just a ranged attack with
Mhm.
with this trait uses strength modifier instead of dexterity. Okay.
Which is nice. So yeah, so you're just cashing in your impulse to do an overflow ability. So then you'll have to pay another action to gain your element back. I like it.
Mhm. Again, it's that checks and balances thing that we like.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. So now we're gonna go into the inner gates and channeled elements. We have the universal gate. Well, I should go in order. We have the dedicated gate, the dual gate, and the universal gate. Each of these is a different specialization and subclass of the kineticist. A dedicated gate, you pick a single element, and then you gain 3 first level impulse feats that match the element's traits. So you start off with more specialized, a wider range of one element. Dual gate, your inner gate is a harmonious conduit between the two planes, allowing you to combine their elements. Select 2 elements. You can channel these elements, and you do also gain 2 first level impulse feat, one with the trait of the first element and one with the trait of the other. So you lose a first level feat. You're trading that in for more flexibility between elements. Universal is you channel all 4 elements, and whenever you make your daily preparations, you choose one first level impulse feat, which you can use until your next daily preparations. Which is kind of, what do you feel about these? What do you feel about these?
I do like how they broke it up. It makes some kind of logic where it's like, okay, well, if I study water, I should be really good at water, and if I divide my attention, I'm only so good at so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I like the balance of this. Same with the universal gate. I mean, you can't be the avatar, you
Well, with the
know.
universal gate, you kind of are.
Eventually, like, but like not right out of the gate.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
tie me up a little bit.
So I just can't learn fire. I'm curious. So you will be okay. So you would gain access to all 5 elements once they release metal and wood too, which is kind of wild. So every day you would pick from 5 elements. You're stuck with that one until. So that's interesting to me. That's what I kind of was like pondering. I'm like, ooh, what if you pick the wrong element?
But then I'm kind of like, does it even matter? Because I can summon fire underwater. So what is it like? What kind of consequences are we gonna get into where this isn't beneficial for me?
Well, then we get into gather element where we run up
Exactly.
against this.
There's no consequence to picking wrong. So why is it even a big deal?
That's T. That's T. I think. Well, still, if you're fighting someone who's resistance against fire and you picked fire.
Well, then, oh no, it's a different thing.
But like, it would just suck if you made this character and you had to go through water. But I guess it just depends on the player how much it would suck. But you can heat water.
Yeah, and that's a separate thing. That's if you go into adapt element, that's another thing that I have beef with. But you can regulate the temperature of water if you want to.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know
don't
what
need
I'm saying?
fire
That
to
you
do
can
it. You can do it with
boil
water.
the water, and that could be the fire part because you're getting it from within, and you just.
But you can do that with the water, though. You don't even have to have fire to boil water. If you're commanding water, you can fuck with the temperature of the water independently.
You got me
You don't need it.
Damn.
See what I mean?
But I guess you could boil. Yeah, I guess we'll get into that. Oh my gosh, Paizo. That's part of like the fun of like being an elemental. Just like, ooh, I don't know if my element's gonna work. Ooh. And they kind of took that away from the Kineticist, and I feel like the Kineticist with Elemental Blast is already so powerful that
and I think if you take a step back and you don't take it as seriously, and you're just looking for a fun class with a lot of really flashy abilities, this is fun. But if you're like us and you're looking for more of a challenge and more of a strategic, you like to take more of a strategic role when you play. It's like it takes that element out of it because it's all fun. It's all fine. Like,
oh, they take the element out of it. Wow, you take the element out of it. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I don't know what that Murloc noise was, but I hope a bot clips it. I hope it's gonna be the new critical failure roll.
Yeah.
I need to ask my assistant to remind me later. My Google assistant. Remind me to grab that noise. So, with that being said, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this class, the Elemental Blast. It's cool. It's an unarmed attack, benefits from mighty blows, and eventually gain like the critical specialization for this, which is different for each element. Love that. Impulses are magical, but they aren't spells. They go over nitty gritty, but what I want to know, okay, so this is an unarmed strike, right? Technically an unarmed, although not actually an unarmed attack. Is it an unarmed attack though? It's not actually an unarmed attack. So does that count if you dual class into a monk?
I don't think so, because if I'm looking at Elemental Blast, it's if you make a melee or a ranged strike with your gathered element. So it's not unarmed. Your impulse, your blast is a weapon in itself. Your element is turned into a weapon. It's weaponized.
That's sad.
Yeah.
But wait a minute.
I like where your head was at, though.
I know. Give me that full Avatar fantasy. 1 second. Let me ask Nethys, the god Nethys on aeonprd.com. And really just, how do you feel about these blasts as I look this up? This very niche question.
I just read further in here. Not to sidestep your question.
No, I'm looking up this question, and I'm curious to think what you think of the Elemental Blast. It
does say the blast can benefit from runes granted by hand wraps of mighty blows, which is when you're doing unarmed attacks.
So
and it uses weapon dice and traits, which are the same way. It's contradicting itself. It's like you have to make a melee or ranged strike, but it's not melee or ranged. It's all three of them, potentially. It's contradicting itself.
Because
I just think it's written poorly. I just think that they need to go in and make a decision.
Okay, so with the monk, because everyone who's gonna do this is going to fucking go and try to make an avatar character, and there's stances for the monk where you can be like the Phoenix stance and you do fire damage and stuff like that. So they're kind of doing that already, and I just want the full fantasy, damn it. So So there's 2 ways this can work. So I'm going to read off this flurry of blows because that's the most important thing. Make 2 unarmed strikes. If both hit the same creature, combine your damage for purposes of resistances and weaknesses. Apply your multiple attack penalty to the strikes normally. As it has the flourish trait, you can only use flurry of blows once per turn. So it's 2 unarmed strikes, right? Is the blast an unarmed strike?
That's where I'm struggling with the way, like, if we're really gonna get deep in the weeds here, the way that this is written is that in the very first paragraph is that it's not. You're weaponizing your element. It's not an unarmed strike. It's treated as a weapon. It's a melee or a ranged strike. And then the very next paragraph, it says, though it's not actually an unarmed attack, an elemental blast uses your proficiency with unarmed attack. So it's all three somehow.
Hate that.
Yeah, so it says gets any bonuses or penalties that apply to unarmed attacks and uses weapon damage dice and weapon traits in the same way an unarmed attack does. So kind of. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's really they need
It's
to
just
add
written weird.
Yeah,
Just written weird.
they should add a feat saying like you can now use your elemental blast for like the purposes of an armed strike. It should be like a
Because I mean, they do that in other things. Like I've got like a tail. It's my tail is a weapon, but it's not something it's not an implement, so it technically is an unarmed strike. So I put hand wrap of mighty blows on my tail.
Yes, in real life.
So they're already doing this in real life.
Yes.
This very moment.
Yeah, so you can't see it though. But yeah, they're already doing this shit like that. I understand it might be OP, but they can like gate it in a feat or something like later down the line. I just want that option. I just want that. I really want that. And if that's so much to ask, maybe. Anyway. So you can switch for, as you were saying, switching from melee and ranged pretty much whenever you want, which is very versatile, which is really, really nice. You usually have to wait for that kind of melee to range versatility by getting like a returning rune or like using a spear and specializing with spears and stuff like that. So that's really nice, like action economy right there. So, but looking at these, they're cute, I guess. They're nice. I mean, so air is for the agile. They have the longest range implement, and you could switch from slashing to bludgeoning damage. And you use your dex for everything. Earth is closer range, only 20 feet, but it does way more damage, and you can push people with it. Fire is another agility like based one. It does fire damage, and it's mid range. And then water seems to be, oh, it does as much damage as earth. That's nice. And then it's more AoE because it has the sweep trait. And then with range, it's only 30 feet, and it doesn't have any like specific cute things. That's weird. Cute. That's weird though that water isn't finesse and agile. I find that odd. Like I feel water is the dexterous version. Like you can use your dexterity modifier for attack rolls and damage rolls for a melee weapon. You can't do that with water.
You can do a lot of things with water.
Tea, which is made from water.
Yeah. Water's fine.
I think they should reconsider it not being an agile and finesse.
Yeah, I think they're treating it here because in the context of a blast, water would be more like a fire hose.
Mm.
You know, it's not going to move. It's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be focused. It's just going to be a blast of water. So I kind of get it in this context. I see what you're saying because you're like, well, water is, you know, it's flowy. You know, if you can, you know, water can take any shape. Like, why can't I make it do cool things?
You know what would be cool is if you could switch between like the strength-based melee and then if you can switch between, you could choose between strength and dexterity since it's so fluid. You choose when you're water.
It just becomes a play on words because you're water.
Yeah, why
All
not?
fluid. It's all fluid.
Yeah, whatever you want. Like you could choose each turn if you want it to be like a brutal ranged or an agile or finesse like melee. If you get like debuffed to shit on like strength rolls, you can switch to your dex if that's better at the time, and vice versa. That'd be cool to make it like the versatile option.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, say something.
Hello.
Okay. For a second I thought I wasn't getting your sound.
Okay.
You
No,
were
I'm just like
not saying anything.
I got triggered because you said fluid, and foreshadowing, my whole beef with water is that it's just fluid. And we'll get there. Oh yes, I'm cheesy as hell right now because I'm mad.
That's not an element. Cheese isn't an element. And maybe that's one of the elements you were hoping to get, but you can't.
No. No.
What? Cheese! Oh my god, a brie bender, please. Okay, so now we're going to adapt element, which you have thoughts. And I was thinking over this instead of like actually doing my job at work. I was like thinking about what you're saying, and I have a response. But go for it.
Thank God. Okay,
tear this to shreds.
I'm going to disclaimer everything I have beef with in that the very first sentence in adapt element, which takes 2 actions, which this is also really stupid. So the first sentence is just, it's trivial for you to tinker with any of the elements you command. The whole point of adapt elements is that you try to manipulate the element and you can do a little something with it, but like it's futile to try to control nature is basically what it's trying to get at. So basically you burn two actions to do fuck all is basically what this is. And for some reason that really got under my skin. And I'll explain why when we get into water, why this pissed me off so much.
Okay.
So, but I'll go through. So you have some options on what you can do with these elements. The first one is gather, which is just, gathering your element, which you can gather it from your environment, not just from your inner gate.
But what's the distinction?
So that's half my problem. So you have an inner gate, you have access to this element at all times for 1 action. Why am I burning 2 to pick it up off the ground? I'm having a hard time coming up with a practical application for that.
Okay, that's stupid. It should be if you already have it in your environment, it's free. Or less actions.
Yeah, that's kind of issue number 1, okay. Is gather.
I agree.
And it can apply to all of the elements. You can do it with anything. So unless there's some other like checks and balances in here that I just didn't read, I don't know why you would need this.
Yeah.
So that's like issue number 1. Issue number 2 is the other adapt action you can do is to move. And it's important to clarify that when you use adapt element, you can only control something of like negligible bulk, and it can like basically fill your palm. So like a smallish rock or a little sphere of water or a little flame, whatever, but it basically fits in your hand, right? So you can move any element 1 foot in any direction, and you can only do it to an element that's within 10 feet of you.
Okay. I think this isn't as bad. Obviously, this isn't a combat ability. So using a 2 action, oh my gosh, ability, in like exploration mode or social, I don't know what the modes are. Okay, don't come for me. But
downtime, exploration.
Yeah. So it's kind of
I get what you're picking up.
And each turn is like 6 seconds, so you can move the water around you 10 feet, like no issue. It's pretty much a mage hand with an element. So I don't hate that.
You can move it 1 foot.
Yeah, and then you move it another 1 foot, and then you move it another 1 foot. And in
Oh.
exploration mode, you don't have to worry about like the action economy.
Okay, but like, okay, so also, if you didn't summon it from your inner gate, it's already next to you. So it's within 10 feet of you. You know what I can do in 2 actions? Step up to it and pick it up.
It would go
Why
through
am I
your
scooching it?
fingers. It would burn
Why
you.
am I No, because if it's your chosen element, it doesn't affect you at all.
Oh god.
There's no, I don't get it.
No, but if it's like such a niche thing, like let's say you're in a prison and the person like in a cell across from you, let's say 10 feet. It's like water, water, and you can move a little bit of water and put it in his mouth, and then heat it up a little bit, or make it cold depending on his preference, or her, or their. So
I'm not going to do that.
you could do that. Well, some of us have hearts.
I guess, okay, this is another thing too, is that you do need to have a hand free, so you can't be completely restrained, but I guess in an environment where you're limited in how much you could move, to be able to scooch something towards you, but it would take so long.
No, it would take like a minute.
A minute's a long time.
Not when you're not in battle.
Yeah, but you can only scooch it 1 foot at a time.
Yeah, and you do that every 6 seconds.
So silly. I just it's so
That's
you know what? You know what costs 1 action? Telekinetic projectile. And it's a cantrip.
But you don't have cantrips.
I know, but if you want to do that shit, be somebody else. I don't know why this is bothering me so much. Because, like, if I'm going to take on magic, I want to do shit. I want to do shit that I can not only do here, but I want to do it there and do it better. And if I can get up and pick up some water, I don't get it. I don't get why it's 2 actions. I don't like that it's a foot. I do like the scenario you presented with being like in prison. Like my movement is restricted, and I can only scooch something at me. It really only works when you're in prison.
Yeah, that's the only use case.
And you have to remember, yes, you're literally just going like, come here.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
And then someone slaps it out of the air. Okay, so
I think
next
I just think it's dumb. I just think like if you could move it maybe like 5 feet, I'd be cooler with it. Because I can move it 5 feet, but right now it's like I can take 1 step, reach down and pick it up instead.
But also it's comparable to like thaumaturgy and like prestidigitation. Like it's all the little magical stupid shit that like fairy godmothers can do and like show off your magic and stuff that isn't crazy enough to have like an effect, like an actual effect in your like
right. And
so,
again, backing up, the whole point of adapt element is its triviality. they really stress the point right out of the gate that this isn't gonna do anything.
That's T. I can't fight that. I can't. You know what they could have just done? Gave us Druidcraft. And just saved a whole page, honestly.
Yeah, that whole beef. I'm 2 adapt options into this, and there's 5. So
okay.
The third one is regulate, which isn't for every element. You can only do it with air, fire, and water. So earth is completely locked out of it. Now, to preface my beef with some of these elements is that they lack a certain imagination in that they don't include everything you could do with that element. So like, for instance, lava, molten rock, I can't superheat a rock.
Okay, I think they did say in like one of the side things is that we're going to experiment, we're in the final release are going to have a mixture, like you can mix 2 elements together to get new shit. So like, and they say magma.
Okay.
So that is on the way, but they should have put it in here. Just give us a taste.
So even that I have beef with is the way that you just phrased that. So the reason I have beef with it is specifically in water, because it talks about being able to take matter in its different states, and which implies that I would be able to use steam even though it's not there at all. you can't use steam. So, but
They could have had so much
logically you could, if you're using this adapt element, you could make steam. But why can't, if I can heat up water to change its state, why can't I heat up a rock to make lava without also needing to combine it with fire?
That's steam, which is hot and makes steam. But I agree. And they could have
So
done
I'll get into the steam thing later because this is where it really pisses me off because specifically water, and I'll hold a lot of this till later because it's right at the end of the book, but like the two coolest things about water is that you can't compress it and steam. Steam is not part of this. Steam, the only thing that's even close is there's two mist abilities, and we'll get into that later, but like, so if you
the
wanted,
mist abilities suck. I'll get into that.
We'll get there.
That really disappointed me.
Yeah, so the only way that you could like get any kind of satisfaction out of it is to use the regulate action, which you can change the temperature of an element willy-nilly, making it colder or warmer. There's no restriction on this. This can snuff out a flame or turn water into ice or steam. It says you can make steam. After this change, the element cools or warms naturally, though you can keep regulating it to maintain the chosen temperature. An item that gets hot enough, as determined by the GM, can be used as an improvised weapon that deals 1 fire damage, I roll, in addition to the damage the GM determines for the improvised weapon.
Yeah.
If I want to make steam, that can be so fucking destructive.
Oh yeah, but
and that's the shit I want to do with this, and it's not in here, and I don't like that. We'll get to water later specifically, but even in here it says that you can change any of these elements' temperature to your heart's content. Essentially, there doesn't seem to be a limit on it. But yeah, I can't make molten rock because you're not allowed to regulate the temperature of a rock.
Yet. They need to add it. There's some changes they need to make for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, you know what, you finish your thought and then we'll get to sculpt and sustain.
No, now that you're saying it, like, shooting steam at people would be so fucking cool as your blast.
Not just shooting steam. I'm gonna throw some science on you when we get to water. I don't want to derail this ship because I'm gonna get into it, but like, anyway.
Sculpt Earth.
Sculpt Earth. You reshape a portion. A portion, reminding you, is just a little bit of the element that can fit in your palm. So you reshape the portion into a small object. It looks crude and artificial. It's extremely fragile. Can't be used as a tool, weapon, or spell component. And out of everything here, it's the one thing that I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you've been like kidnapped. You could leave a trail or a message, or give cute gifts to your friends if you want to. Yeah. But like, to me, this has more use.
Oh yeah.
Than being able to move something afoot.
Yes. And I think there should be a feat where you can make things, tools out of this sculptor.
Yeah, so that's another thing that comes later in Rock. I think there's some other abilities where you can like sculpt, but I don't think it says anything about being able to make a tool.
That'd be cool. Like if you fill a keyhole with clay and then harden it and you have a key. Like why not?
Fill a keyhole with water and freeze it and it breaks.
There's so much you could do with elemental shit that they're just too afraid. But the thing is, if you pay a feat to give your character like these niche like tools, because just picking a lock for a lot of traps isn't enough. Like traps are like multi-stage things that you need a really good thievery like to deal with. And if your character is going to be doing that shit, there's a good chance they're going to multi-class or pick feats to do it. So give them a cool flavor option to let them do it. Like, I just always hate that in games, in role-playing games, where they want to keep things so, like, tight and, like, confined into, like, one role. But if I'm willing to pay and expend my power options for what the role is meant to be so I can be like between two worlds, they should just let me. And this Sculpt Earth, I wish they would just let me.
Yeah. So and you can only do this with earth. You can't make like cute little ice things that'll melt,
Which
which
makes no fucking sense.
because I like the idea of that. Like, what if you had to send somebody a secret message? Like, you could like make like a little ice thing, give it to them, and it melts. Like, that's kind of cool. So I actually like sculpt. I just don't like that you can only do it with earth. But I guess that makes sense because it is the only pliable thing. But again, I myself, as a ranger, can pick up some fucking clay and make a crude sculpture out of it.
That is very true.
That
ruins
fail.
it. Honestly,
Like,
that ruins it completely.
If I fail my crafting check as a ranger, I can do this.
That's so fucked up.
And it was the only one that I liked.
Okay, but
no, okay.
Sustain.
Sustain is cute. So like, so you can only do this with air or water. You choose a creature within 10 feet of you that can breathe the element. You transfer that element to that creature, allowing it to breathe until the start of your next turn if it couldn't otherwise. Like, useful. So if you wanted to save a fish, you could save a fish.
If you're underwater and your friend is drowning.
Yeah, like they fail their athletics check and they're drowning.
Yeah.
You could help them breathe. Like, this does have, I like things, even if it's trivial, at least if it has a practical application.
Yes.
I'm fine with it. 3 out of the 5 do not have a practical application. They need to be reworked a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Regulate has a dangerous amount of power depending on the GM. And I know for a fact, the way that I would want to use this, you would never allow me to do what I want to do.
Yeah. No, but if you think of I already know that. But like with regulate, it really is, if you're in like an Arctic setting or a desert setting, regulate's the most OP thing ever.
Right, but I like think big baby
stuff. Well, I don't know science stuff.
But that's the thing. You get a player who knows an obnoxious amount of fun adult science. Regulate is broken.
Yeah. And you know what? The audience of Pathfinder 2nd edition, yes.
They fucking know it.
They know it. I'm the only dumb bitch who
half of them cannot tell you what the different state. Half of them can't tell you what the 3 states of matter are, and half of them have like chemistry degrees.
No, I'm willing to bet
they come in 2 speeds.
90% are the latter, and I am the only former. Like, I am the only like.
Yeah, the one thing, like, I went to art school. I not a smart kid, but something my engineer husband has given me is a love of cool science as an adult, and I have watched many a YouTube video, and there's a lot of things I'd like to do.
With just regulate.
Broken. With just regulate, which is supposed to be trivial.
But we spent like 20 minutes talking about it. Right, you're ready. You're ready to regulate some things.
So here's the thing. Yeah, we've been at this for almost an hour. How do you feel about doing a speed run into pros and cons of each element?
Oh my god, we're already in an hour?
Yeah, we're at an hour.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna speed through a lot of things and then like pick on points that we're like, oh, that's cool, or no, that's not cool. Extract element, I think that's cool. It's very niche.
Question. That one I need a little clarity on. So you can extract an element from something that has that element trait, so like an elemental.
Yes.
But like, why can't I extract the water out of my enemy?
You know exactly why.
Why can't I do it?
Because it's so fucking OP. You know you shouldn't be able to do that in this game. Why
can't I blood bend? Why can't I blood bend?
Blood isn't an element. You can't look up blood.
It contains water and it contains iron.
But that's not metal.
Iron is metal. It's literally iron is in your blood.
You are trying to destroy the very fabric of balance within this game. You know exactly why.
Would prevent me from doing it, is my point.
You know exactly why you can't do it. Don't
give me the proper shackles, is all I'm saying.
They did!
No!
It's only for like pure elementals. If you mix it with other things, it's not pure. You only can handle pure elements.
But I can extract an element.
Moving on.
I can regulate its temperature. Can I not boil the blood in your skin?
Only a little bit.
Only a trivial amount.
From 10 feet away.
How long does it take to die if your blood is boiling? Google.
I don't know the science.
Looking through this shit and Googling my ideas and be like, okay, is that scientifically possible? The FBI agent in my computer probably think, yeah, I'm on a watch list.
Oh yeah, you're definitely making a bomb.
Anyway, so please do continue.
The next thing I like is adapt terrain, which you cause your element to spread in an unoccupied square and it grows and makes hazardous terrain.
Love it.
Yeah, I think that's great. It gives more strategy. I love area of effect and managing terrain and stuff. And then I think everything else is pretty straightforward on like the general stuff. And then we get into the feats. Elemental familiar, straightforward. You have an elemental familiar. Elemental weapon, I think is very straightforward. I feel like we've seen it's kind of a lot like the mage's like weapon in my like mind. Flexible blast. Should just be given to water, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
This should just be given to water.
Yeah, this is kind of what you were talking about before.
Mm-hmm. This is probably where I got the idea from. But I think just to give water a little more oomph.
Mm-hmm.
So that kinetic activation, unlike the potential of elementally powered magic items, that I don't think people are going to really appreciate that a lot. Voice of an element, I mean, cool, I guess. Blast barrage is cool. That's fun. It's like a ricochet.
You rapid fire pieces of your element, hurling them at many foes, making up to 3 elemental blasts.
Oh, I'm thinking of
each
something
against a different target. Your multiple attack penalty applies normally. Okay, but like you get to do it. You can do it up to 3 times, and it's only 2 actions.
Mm-hmm. That's
so if you wanted to move and do it, you could still do 3 attacks. So I like that. It's not what you thought it was, but it's good.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something that you get later, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cycling blast. I think the interesting thing about like the multi-gate options is how you cycle through them and how it's a game of like which ones you want to use and then switching, which is an interesting thing about like kind of like a stance character in a way. But this is cribbing so much from the psychic, the fire and ice psychic, which I hated. My least favorite type of psychic. It's a lot like that, and I don't know why they're making 2 of the same thing. You feel, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm nodding because I'm like, go on.
Yeah, so I don't like that. Let's see, stoke element. Gathered. Oh, you're just making it more powerful, adding more. I was thinking of chain blast, which is fucking cool as shit. Where it just bounces from target to target, never ending.
I like that.
That's very nice. Everything else is fairly straightforward.
It's all the kind of stuff that you would expect to be able to do at the very basics of what you would imagine being able to control the elements would be.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
They've covered like what your expectations would be. They meet expectations.
So
that's the performance review.
Yes, very very quick. Yes, they meet expectations. So I think that's cool. It's interesting how they're going with like AoE or like single target or like summoner stuff, and I think that's nice to like break it up and like make your elementalists feel special and different from all the other ones. Now we're gonna get to each of the elements. Air. How many smiles do you give air?
How many smiles?
Out of 5.
I guess 3 out of 5. Like I neither love nor hate air. It's the Melba toast of these elements. It's like exactly what I expect it to be. I can do exactly what I would expect to do. It's okay.
Yeah, I agree. I don't get a lot of like the illusion shit in the air.
I don't get how you can heal somebody, by the way. A lot of these elements have healing attached to them, like soothing breeze.
Just feels good.
Like, it feels so good. It makes me forget my stab wound. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's a little cheesy, but a lot of it, like air cushion as a reaction, makes a lot of sense. It
Yeah,
it's
and
fine.
giving each, besides fire, like a healing ability that you can only use once every 10 minutes, it's kind of like, okay, so what?
Stock up on potions like I do.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but like for something, I don't know, it just doesn't
Get a
really.
cleric in your party. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah, it's not enough to make you like a main healer, but it's not.
you can help.
You can help, but also
You can
like
help.
soothing breeze, it affects your everyone, enemy and friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I would never take that.
Can you
And
imagine how pissed off our groups would be if I'm just going around healing all our enemies after we spend
oh
an
my
hour trying to
god,
kill them? Like, no.
yes. Ugh. I mean, 3 to 4 hit points is nice, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. And then
Yeah, I think it's weird.
it's weird. We don't need every like I get it for water, like because water is I feel like in every game I play, like Divinity, water is like the healing element. So I would pass it. But the water healing isn't good. It really doesn't do it for me. Anyway.
Anyway, so yeah, air 3 out of 5. Don't like
Yeah.
it, don't hate it. It's all right.
Yeah, I agree. I like how it's all about movement, flight. I don't like the illusion stuff. That doesn't make sense. I don't think it should have healing. I think it would be cool if it was like crowd control, movement, flight, and then I think that's it. I think that's all I want from an air. I do like a lot of the lightning stuff. But is lightning air?
See, and that's where you lose me a little bit. Because lightning is not air, and lightning doesn't get created by air. It's all about
from
friction,
clouds. Air
which is
friction.
water.
But they're in the fucking air. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I know they're water. I know they're water, but they're held up by air. Then why are they have cloud shit in here in the air thing? Right? Or is that water?
Clouds are water.
No, I'm not. I know clouds are water. I'm saying in this game, is the cloud shit in the water element or the air element?
Is there cloud shit in the water?
I guess like fog.
Okay.
I guess that is water.
Yeah, so that is water particles. So yes, and fog is a cloud. They're basically the same thing. But yeah, so lightning shouldn't be an air thing because
so it's water.
Just because it's a storm doesn't mean it's air. Yeah, it's caused by friction.
Of what?
Of water vapor creates a lot of energy, and then it gets released by particles. I don't know that much about lightning, but I know enough of it to know that it's water.
I love how we're gonna post this for forever. Mostly me looking like an idiot.
Come at me.
Honestly, get our engagements up. Tell me how I depersonalize through all of my like classes.
I'm a woman. Come at me.
Oh yeah, they probably will.
So yeah, Earth. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Lightning is not air. Do you want to talk about Earth now?
Yeah, I like Earth. I think Earth is cool. I think Earth is the best one.
I'm disappointed by Earth.
Really? Okay,
It does have some surprising applications that I didn't think of. Like Dust Storm is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like
stepping stones.
As someone who likes to smash things, I would pick Earth, completely misunderstanding what it's there for.
What do you mean liking to smash things? Your blast does the most damage.
Right, but then you get into the feats, and I'm not getting anything that I would see as rewarding. It's like, okay, cool, tremors.
Knocks prone, and then it's difficult terrain, but the terrain doesn't bother you, but they're prone, and when they wake up, they have to use double movement speed, and you could just beat the shit out of them. That's
I
tanky as
guess.
fuck. That's the
I
tankiest
guess.
ability that people is an AoE. A 5-foot burst. Yeah, that's not big, but like that's nothing to sneeze at. Ooh. And then Stone Shield, you get AC. And then it's like a shield, and you could just keep on building it.
It's fine.
I love
It's
it.
just not what I wanted.
And I think, oh my gosh. And then stepping stones, I think that's so useful, especially with the
Oh, absolutely.
tremor.
No,
And
I
it's
think
such a cool like use and tremor sense.
And I think out of all the elements, I do think Earth is the most useful.
Yeah.
It's just it didn't satisfy my inner child of what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time, a lot of levels to be able to get into something really cool.
Like what would you consider the thing that's really cool?
So, okay, like hurling rockfall is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And well, okay, the coolest fucking thing. And of course it's the 18th it takes 18 levels to get there. The Shattered Mountain Weep.
Okay, you have to admit that all of these names for the capstones
Fucking cool.
Fucking cool as shit. Exploding
Fucking
cataclysm
cool.
of falling debris and deadly shrapnel.
Yeah, but I really don't get like really excited about anything until I'm like 12 levels, 8 levels in.
Yeah, but you don't get the really exciting cool shit ever until.
Well, I know, but it's like, how long? When was
any
the
of the
last time you were in a
classes.
campaign where you got to level up that?
Never.
So you're never gonna get. You have this really cool class with this really cool element, and then you never really get the payoff of having it.
That's just D&D in general.
Well, no. So in our Strength of Thousands, my sorcerer can do pretty cool spells already. Vomit Swarm.
Yeah, that's cool, but you're comparing
Biting Word.
You're comparing throwing up bugs onto someone and freaking them out and like to the end of times. Like being able to destroy
I don't think you should get Shattered Mountain Weeps at level 2. That's not what I'm trying to say here. I'm just saying that like everything's kind of okay, but like I really want to fuck shit up. And that's like I want to have like stone fists, and I want to be able to explode somebody's skull. You
do have stone fists.
You kind of do.
Yeah, you do.
Where do I do?
The kinetic blast, you could do it as a melee attack.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I don't know.
I think
I'm not excited about it.
Okay. I think a lot of the power atonement goes towards just having a really good, like, flexible weapon that you can cast constantly of an elemental damage type, which people don't really have resistance to as much as like bludgeoning, piercing, yada yada yada. So a lot of these options aren't going to be as cool, but like if you already have something good that's damaging, like that you don't run out of, like these utility options are just so fun. I just like it. I'm a huge fan. But I see
they're fun. They're fun. It's just not what I wanted to do with Earth. But they're cool. Like I don't want to like cut them down on what they did. I actually, I like Earth. It's like 4 out of 5 smiles. Like it's fun. There's a lot you can do with it. You can be creative with this one. You can do things that I didn't think of doing, which is half my problem with some of these other ones. So, like, Earth is fine.
Let's get to the Becky of elements. Fire.
Fire. Okay, I like that on first level, you get to just Bakugo yourself. You just get to blast yourself up to 40 feet, the straight line.
This
is like jet burn right behind you, no big deal.
This is where I'm like, okay, fire. I'm interested. Usually I pass up fire shit because I think that's just so vanilla. But this burning jet, I agree, is such a cool way to start out.
This is kind of my point. You get it at first level. You already get to do something like visually super fucking cool. I don't know. I just wish Earth had a little bit more of that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're only moving twice and you get a 5-foot bonus. It just looks cool.
Yeah.
But with Earth, I don't know. But I like the lane characters. I love just like, oh, I'll make little steps for you. Like, now you could cross the river. Like, I like that shit. So I think this really speaks to our differences as players. Like, I think this really
I'm very much like
summarizes-
Sound Smash. Like that's really all I'm into. So
I'm like, I want to restore faith in the village by song. Let's see. Oh, I went into error again. Okay, so fire, eternal torch, yeah. Flame eruption, yeah. That's what
I mean,
expect.
and this is kind of what I talked about in the beginning about like the meets expectations. Like a lot of these elements is like you can do what you think you would do.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Earth, where like it fails in some parts, but it rewards in doing some things you might not have thought to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Earth has at least given me ideas, whereas Fire is like, oh yeah, fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of damage with this fire.
Yeah.
I do
We're
like
fine.
how they do like rippling and kind of like blinding stuff, like
Yeah.
smoke, which I would feel it's air, but okay. But like the desert shimmer is cool. Crawling fire is interesting to me. Isn't it kind of like a fire snail? Like it leaves a trail of fire? Or am I thinking of, okay, they sold that for. Have you ever played Divinity Original Sin?
No.
Oh, you should play that. You'll love it.
Okay.
You would love it. You would. Maybe we should. I should stream that. We should. You can play multiplayer. It's good. It's my favorite game. Anyway, Crawling Fire. They definitely sold that from Divinity, and I'm glad they did. And then Wandering Smoke, I think is cool. I think all of this is cool, and I love how you can turn into a phoenix and summon a sun.
Yeah, like I think the fire is a little bit more exciting, and to your point too, like when all the edgelords are want to be fire.
Yeah.
You hear fire and it makes you want to eye roll, and you know exactly what that's going to be and who's going to play that. But the things that it lets you do are actually really cool, and I'm actually excited by it. So like 4.5 out of 5 smiles, and I'm a person who like when given the option to choose an element for everything, I'm always Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always Earth. I want to rain rocks on people.
And I'm always
Ash.
air. I think I always choose air, and I was so and I'm shocked that I picked Earth. But yeah, I'm surprised that you picked fire too.
Like I actually liked fire.
So how do you feel about the differences between all these fucking walls? I think that should have just been like a base class thing. Like you can make a wall.
Yeah, just copy paste it. And yeah, I mean, because you're already given your class feats or whatever that aren't, element specific. Just put it in there and just say, and then break it down in bullets if you want to on what their effects would be. But yeah, I'm with you. A lot of these do kind of copy paste each other.
I agree.
But again, it's like, but that's kind of your balancing. It's like I don't want to sacrifice being able to do that so I can make a dust storm.
Yeah.
If you can only choose one element, it is kind of nice. The copy and pasting becomes nice. If you could just do any of them at any time, some of this doesn't make any sense about why you could just do that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my point is like, if everyone has their elemental wall, I would rather have a different choice and just be given that, But I see what you mean. But I don't know. I was kind of like, okay, another summon. Okay, another minion. Okay, another wall of some sort. It's pretty much the same. So I was kind of getting bored with that. So water.
Water.
Things I like about water. I like how it's about movement and defense. But we gotta dive in deep on some of this bullshit. We really do, because some of this is.
Water was written by someone who doesn't know how water works. Like, okay, it's a fantasy game. Cool things should be able to happen. I'm not criticizing that. I'm criticizing the fact that we explore water and ice, liquid and ice, and that's it.
I know. I would be every time I saw ice, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I know ice is water. Okay, don't before we get into another conversation about what clouds are made out of. I know that ice is water. I make it every day, or at least my fridge does. But every time I saw ice, I'm just like, this ice isn't the fantasy for kineticists for me. If I wanted ice, I feel like that is already handled in so many other spells, and I don't need more icy things. I want water.
So for me, where my struggle is it in the way that kineticist is explained in relation to water up until this point, you would think that you could control all states of matter when it comes to water. If I can control water, I can control water. But there's no cool feats relating to anything other than liquid water or ice.
So what are the different ones that you would want to explore?
Steam. Because steam is fucking terrifying. So what makes water so cool as an element is water can't be compressed. And when it changes states, its volume also changes. So when you superheat water and it becomes steam, that oxygen displacement, even with a small amount of water, can cause a massive fucking explosion. I want steam explosions. And I'm so fucking mad that I can't. Now, if I use the adapt element and do the regulate according to those rules, it's like a simple, okay, well, I'm going to use 2 actions to, superheat and boil my enemies alive real quick and blow up this warehouse. You would never let me do that.
No,
but that's just what Steam
not.
does. That's what Steam does in the real world.
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed that there's nothing in here in a fantasy game that I can do in the real world. That bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely.
And then, okay, something else I'd like to do with that adapt action with water, since I don't like any of this. There's nothing in here that I think is redeemable or cool. It's all very vanilla and I don't like it. What I want to do is I want the ability to adapt because that's what would make water cool, is adapting temperature. But you can only adapt it trivially according to that other fucking thing. Like, yeah, you can weaponize it, but like you get to do 1 fire damage or whatever your GM thinks appropriate. I want to drown someone in their own breath. Let me do it. It's possible here. It's possible in the real world. Why can't I do it in a fantasy game where I'm in control?
Wait, you could drown from your own breath?
Yes. So if you're in a closed space and the humidity is 100% and the temperature of the room that you're in is above 100 degrees, the coldest place in that room is now inside of you. The water that you're breathing would condense in your lungs and you would drown.
So if you're in a really hot room, but and then your glizzy is like the coldest place, so all the water would go there, you would drown.
Yeah, so the humidity would have to be high enough. So there is a cave in Mexico where this is actually naturally occurring, and you could die of exposure to that within 10 minutes. You would go in, just walk around breathing. It's hot, it's humid. That's not what kills you. The heat doesn't kill you. You drown on your own lung water.
You're definitely onto something. Just using water as exposed, like being exposed to it, like chilling. I'm trying to see, like even sickening them because it's so, or fatiguing them because it's so like humid out.
Water vapor.
Sickened.
Water vapor is fucking terrifying, and it's not explored at all.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody in your party who's really into science, they're gonna want to do that stuff. And there's like, other Other than you just going, it's too cool, you can't. Like, how is that going to make you feel? I don't like that the only implication of any type of water vapor is veil of mists. And what is this other one?
Okay, so let's talk about this mist, because I love a mist, and I love hiding. Veil of Mist, it doesn't make any fucking sense that you could do water as an illusory disguise. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so
What
example.
Let me look up illusory disguise. Just to make
sure. So example, Android, you have Nanite Shroud, where you have a bunch of your robot blood come out and you get you're concealed because you have shit swirling around you. That's what I imagine this would be. Like, you're concealed. Why would it work as an illusory disguise?
Yeah, that you're a different, you look completely different. Like, no, water doesn't work that way. That doesn't make a lick of sense.
So I don't like that, and I don't like Lowland Fog.
Lowland Fog makes no sense to me. I don't know why they had to make it different from normal fog. It feels like a lesser version of Fog Cloud or any of the fogs that we have in the game. Because I don't know why it's an illusion.
At its basis, I get it, and if you have a fog that can obscure yourself, it's nice to have another fog that controls the field of battle. I get it. I get why it exists.
Oh yeah.
But
the way that I
think it's the lamest application for water vapor.
And also there's like perfectly good fog cloud. Like, just say you cast fog cloud, but it's expanded like this. Or
you're not doing magic, you're a kineticist.
I don't care. If you already have, why go to McDonald's if you have perfectly good burgers at home? You know? Then they have other things. They did that with the Veil of Mist. The same effects as illusory disguise, but they could have done that with Lowland Fog. Just say same effects as Fog Cloud, but they're sickened in there because it's really hot and humid.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that stuff. And I love you, Paizo. I love you, and I know you put a lot of work into this, but
I got really excited by Torrent in the Blood, because first of all, cool name, and then it starts with, and I read it wrong, it says a healing wave. It's another one of those dumb I'm gonna heal you with my element things, but I thought it said heating wave. I thought it was heating wave splashes across creatures.
You just want hot water so badly.
I just want to boil people alive. Is that too much to ask?
No, and hopefully when they do,
if I can't blood bend, let me flash boil people with some steam.
I think, and if you're watching this, if you do the dual gates, you have to have shit about steam. You have to. You have to have some sort of, for each element has to play with each other somehow.
And that's something here. And then what you just said too, that's a logical step. Just go, okay, if you've got dual gates, combine steam, fire and water, and you should be able to have steam. However, there is a mechanic already built in.
They can take that out. They should just take that out.
That you can make steam.
Steam
is one of the most destructive forces on the planet. It's worse than fire. It's terrifying. And yet, the only way I can use it is in a trivial application.
No, because they're going to add it later. I love how you're throwing this whole playtest out because of one paragraph. You're just like, fuck it. Everything. This freckle on your face, that could be a beauty mark. No, you're ugly. Like that.
Hire a 3rd grade science teacher to help you with your shit is all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, we're never gonna get sponsored by them.
We love you. We love your game.
We love you.
And that is why we are so passionate about it.
We love you.
We want to see you do better.
I think that they're gonna add steam and make it a dual gate. If you really want to,
sure fucking hope so.
Because they're gonna add magma. They said they're gonna add magma.
So.
They say it in here somewhere.
Making promises to me.
Let's see. Where is this little... By the way, guys. Okay, it's not
Control
the letter
F.
from you. More elements. In Rage of Elements, a long-standing planetary seclusion ends, reopening the full planes of metal and wood. The final version of the Kineticist class will include the elements of metal and wood and likely some hybrid impulses using multiple elements. Ooh, likely. Is it likely?
Yeah.
That makes me concerned.
The only time lava, I did a control F. The only time lava is brought into this is in the elemental natures when you're dealing with like a lava creature.
But you can get chi.
So like I can extract something from a lava creature, but I myself cannot manipulate molten rock. And what am I extracting? Is it the rock or the
It's
heat?
a playtest. It's a playtest. They just don't have. They can't have everything.
I know it is. Okay, I know it's a playtest. I know they're just getting started. I'm ripping apart their like third draft of this thing. I get it.
You just love things.
But here's the, and this is
Go ahead.
And this is what they're asking for. They're going, "Hey, what do you guys think?" And I'm like, I took a big shit on it, and I'm giving it back to you.
That's true. That's true.
Don't take it personal. Like
we love you, Paizo, but
We
the
love
water
you.
needs a lot of work, even from
Maybe.
someone who just wants to be like, "Ooh, fluid water."
Take some of that energy that you'd put into surprising me with the earth options and apply that same creativity to water.
Yeah, because right now
I don't like it.
I do like. Wait a second, I didn't see this one. An elemental water being swirling the Shiva races around you, floats around. Okay, yes, Sea Glass Guardian I like.
Sea Glass Guardian. Okay,
Yeah.
but glass isn't water or what? Where help me out. Where are you looking?
It's on
I'm ready to like tear this apart and I've never even read
23. You didn't even read it. And
it. I
Drowning.
didn't get that far.
The spin that they
far,
did
was
on
pissed.
Drowning Sphere is cool too. I'll give it that as well.
But that's like that's so basic. I should just be able to put somebody's head in a ball of water and make
No,
them
you're
drown.
putting
I don't
them
understand.
like their full body, and you collect
Yeah,
more
and I have to wait till
bodies.
12. I have to wait till 12 level to do that.
That's a lot of water.
Anyway, Sleep as Guardian, an elemental water being ice crystals. Okay.
Underlying one. So you're just shaping water around you to protect your allies within your kinetic aura, and you deal damage to them.
Guess
But
that's
wait a
cute.
minute, no, I don't like this because I would want it to be protective and not just damaging. For a 14th level feat, I'm only doing 8 damage.
Yeah. Okay.
So no, I take it back. I take it back.
Now I'm back to hating it.
I thought it was just like you would mitigate the damage because it would hit the water and then do damage. Like if it mitigated and then did damage, it would be cool. And then, okay, so a lot of the controversy for the water elementalist or kineticist is usurp the lunar reigns. You can create water and control the tide, subverting even the moon's sovereignty. In a 20-foot burst... Oh, no. I was going to try to defend it, but within a 20-foot burst... No. Within 120 feet, you can manipulate or create water in your choice in the following ways. Raise or lower the level of water in the area by 10 feet. Create a pool of pure, clean water. This water must be created on a surface, not in air. It flows normally. It doesn't deal damage. Make water in the area turbulent or calm. This can reduce the difficult terrain to calm water, turn greater into difficult terrain. But at level 18, cannot turn difficult terrain into greater or difficult terrain. This lasts until the end of your next turn, but you can... So, no. No.
Okay, yeah. Here's my recommendation. Here's my constructive recommendation for Paizo. I need you to delete Usurp the Lunar Reigns because it's lame, and I need you to replace it with steam explosions.
Here's what I'll say. Add the steam explosions, but I like the idea of like a peaceful kineticist bringing back life to like a desert town or providing clean water and stuff like that. But that should not be your level 18.
That's not what you want to do at 18th level. That's
If
not the boon you
I'm
get for sticking around that
At
long.
18th level, I'm raising a city. I'm creating water in a city. And enough to fill the battlefield to make everywhere 10 foot high and forcing bitches to swim. I want to force my enemies to swim and fail their athletic saves.
I want to superheat all the water in a well.
We
and
know
build a
what
town.
you want. We know you just want these steam explosions.
We do it!
Some of us want to. I would just want to like control. What do I want from water? I want it to be.
What do I want from life?
Yeah.
This is a metaphor.
This is a metaphor. I get. Wow, damn. I want to be able to be a support role in the Kineticist using water. Have the option to using water.
Okay.
I don't need like cones of blast. I don't need like illusory stuff. I just want to hinder my foes and aid my allies. Healing, sure, but I think like protecting them with water, cleansing them of status elements, which I think air does. I think air does that. Which doesn't make any sense. And I guess that's it. I don't know. This isn't it. And I don't want to deal with ice. I don't care for ice. I'm glad it's a selection, but...
Yeah, the only practical application... Well, okay, there's a lot of practical applications for ice. But the only thing I could think of that I would want to use it for, other than, stabbing people, would be what I kind of described before, like filling spaces with water and then flash freezing it so when it expands, it breaks whatever it's in.
Like that shit. Yeah.
There's a lot of useful, and then that would play into the adept action in the beginning. That's how that's supposed to be used. It's just that's not how it's worded.
Yeah. Or even like controlling the sea and like making your ship go faster. That would have been cool. I don't know. There's so much more.
It's air.
Air, but then you can morph the water around your ship and push the water as the air kineticist pushes the air and make you go doubly fast. Like shit like that. So like
do more, Paizo.
Yeah, like I want my quirky options.
Read my mind, Paizo.
Yeah.
Anticipate my needs, Paizo.
Yeah. Like give us quirky options. Give us steam. I want to be able to make tools out of ice and earth. I think I want to be able to ride a ball of air like Aang, or use a giant fan like that one girl from Naruto. Like, I don't know. Could be better. I don't need the illusion stuff. Take out the illusion stuff. I think water should be the only... I like the earth healing stuff. But what do you think they're going to do with metal and wood? Do you think metal's going to be the tool one, the crafting one? It has to be.
That'd be nice. Would... See, then here's the problem is like... I think this is where I opened myself up to disappointment. Right out of the gate, this class was described to me as being an avatar.
Yeah.
And then when I think of wood, I'm thinking of Naruto. I'm thinking about that guy that controls wood, which is a 2-element ability, by the way. So that also makes sense in the application that they're talking about. But all he does is like make little wood prisons.
Yeah, that's gonna be it.
It's like the main thing he does with it.
I think wood would be cool if you can like grow plants that drop healing, nourish like good berries or like healing stuff like that.
Yeah, like while that's cool, it's not manipulating the element. You're literally creating life. Like, that's not wood manipulation. That's you creating life. Wood's not an element.
Yeah. So
It's also not a
I
fucking
think
element.
I think they're thinking of it in like the Chinese like elemental like I don't know their version of the elements. Because wood and metal are elements in there, I believe. I know metal is.
Okay.
But I don't know.
That
And
makes
that's
more
why we
sense
have
then.
really fucking cool names.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm curious. I don't know how they're gonna do wood and metal. I really think that if you're going to be conjuring your own elements, there should be some crafting to some of it. Because I love a crafting class. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm just curious how this is all going to work out. But I think it's cool. I think out of the classes we've reviewed, this is the coolest. And the one that's implemented the best. I think it's this, occultist, psychic, of the ones we've gone through on this channel and reviewed. How would you rank? I think I know your ranking, but how would you rank these? Out of the ones we've reviewed.
The ones we reviewed.
Yes.
I'm so mad at this. It's like it's fun. I'm gonna backpedal my earlier statement that like it's fun if you're looking for something visually cool to do instead of just getting up and picking up a rock.
And simple.
Okay. Yeah, and it is simple. It's for people like me who like to just hit things with a sword.
You can't say that after all the shit you just talked for the past 2 hours. You can't
Here's the point.
Okay,
it's made for people like me, but the person who is me didn't like it. I don't like it.
That's fair.
Because I want to do more bombastic shit with it. And it's got contradictory mechanics built into it that prevent me from doing so while also giving me permission. So it just needs to be tweaked. Tell me what I can and can't do and give me more water options.
Yeah,
I'd feel better about it.
They need to redo water and they need to reconfigure air.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I like Thaumaturge.
That's your number one.
That's my number one. I like it. I didn't really like Psychic that much, but I'm not as mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
I'm mad at it.
Okay. I guess it's the defining thing for me.
I think
I'm not mad at Psychic. So Psychic gets number 2. Kineticist firmly at number 3.
Okay. Did I already do my list?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. Okay, never mind.
Do it again.
I think it's Kineticist. No, I think it's the same list I did before. But yeah. Damn. Maybe
I wanted to like it. I wanted to.
You wanted to, yeah. Maybe it's gonna get better and that they will have like they're gonna have a whole book about elements. Just elements. I'd be shocked if they didn't add anything about Steve. They have to plunge into the deepest depth of every single element. Like they have to come across what you want.
I like to believe that. But and then the thing is, and the thing to remember is that not every class is for everyone. This one just might not be for me. And it's Pathfinder, so there's an infinite number of character combinations to get to what I want, and it doesn't have to be Kineticist. If you're into this kind of thing and you want something flashy with like fun effects and you don't want to deal with the complex nature of most magical classes, be a Kineticist. It'll be fun. It'll be fun for you. Check out the playtest. It could be fun for you. Just because I fucking hate it doesn't mean that everybody else is gonna hate it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. I'm looking at the Pathfinder 1 Kineticist, and guess what your composite blast can be? Steam Blast. There is
It's coming, baby.
You. There is hope, and they have so much.
Redeem yourself, Paizo.
Heat adaptation, stuff like that. So maybe your answers will be
Maybe I'm gonna feel like a big dumbass right now.
Oh, but we're not playing Pathfinder 1. Fuck that. No.
Yeah. Everyone's like, well, if you would have read 1E, you'd know it was coming.
I hope they make those comments. I hope they please comment below and subscribe.
Please watch the entire video and make those comments.
Absolutely. We welcome
We want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you. But thank you so much for coming on the channel, Cap and Sham. I would ask where you want to be found, but I guess it's nowhere.
Incognito. I want to be found here on Messy B20 every other Wednesday and every Sunday.
Yes. I was like, are those?
You can find me here.
Yeah, you sure can. And our next Story Guide's Guide to Story Guide, I don't know the name of this series. Let's be real. We are going to be going over the Book of the Dead, and we're going to go reverse chronological order through each of the releases, unless there's a new release, which is pretty much every month. So I don't know how this is going to work, but we will be reviewing that. How far are you in that, by the way?
I read it when you first sent it to me.
Okay.
I need to brush up because a lot has happened since then.
A lot has happened.
And I've learned a lot more about the game since you sent it to me, even in the few months that's been running my own games. So I need to read it with a fresh perspective. But shocker alert, I liked it.
I'm liking it a lot so far, and like undead and stuff, it really isn't my zhuzh typically, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really loving like the point of view, but we'll talk about, I don't know why I bring it up in this video, but that's what we're going to do next. And of course, I'm also going to be reviewing the Dungeons and Dragons playtests as they come out as well. So definitely look to the channel for that. We've already reviewed the first Unearthed Arcana with some friends I made, the Board Game Bears, and they're very excited. But they're fucking Dungeons and Dragons loyalists. They've never played any other like tabletop role-playing game. They'll suckle down anything wizards give them. So you can see me being a huge hater on that. Yeah, and thank you for watching, and bye.